Whoa, I got nervous with that cat pause.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is the voice of the Missouri Tigers. He's also a former CIA analyst. He claims to be Howard Richards, but we don't really know his true identity.
Maybe it's his twin.
The Howard Richards I knew back when he was a first-round draft pick of the Dallas Cowboys, he was a little taller, not as good-looking as this Howard Richards. So I'm not sure it's the same Howard Richards after going into the CIA. Maybe he had I don't know. Howard Richards, voice of the Missouri Tigers. Good morning, Howard Richards.
Good morning, my friends. You just make every Friday very interesting for me.
I don't make it any better. I just make it interesting. Yeah. What's this memo? Howard Richards never to appear on the show again. What's this all about? All right.
It's all misinformation.
There you go.
I have no idea who's responsible.
All right. Let's talk about last week before we talk about Purdue, kickoff of the SEC. I know a lot of people are upset at the loss and they fired the coach, but, maybe I was looking at something differently. It was really only a couple of plays here or there, and it could have been a different ballgame.
Well, they were big plays, unfortunately. And the problem is that when you allow too many explosive plays, then you are at risk for losing a football game. And Barry Odom explicitly said last week that his team has very little margin for error.
Yeah.
In other words, to translate, they're not good enough to play and win football games consistently when they make too many mistakes. You can just start with the special teams play. When you are facing probably the best kick returner in the country, Heisman Trophy candidate Deebo Samuel, and the kicker kicks the ball short directly to him, the chances of him running back that kick for a touchdown are pretty good, and that's exactly what he did. So
Right.
2 weeks in a row, he runs back 97-yard kickoff returns and scores, and he scored another touchdown in the game. And it was too much for this team to overcome. The offensive line played well, but the rest of the offense just made too many mistakes, too many drop passes. They kind of reverted back to what looked like last year's offense. The defense did play better. At times, some of the tackling was better at times, but overall, it just wasn't enough. Key mistakes, and these are the types of mistakes that kill you. And again, this is a young team. I do believe they will get better, but they're not ready, at least in the first 2 weeks, to show that they're ready to take a step to be a better team in the SEC.
Yeah. How did your Missouri thing work out with the high school kids coming down?
Well, from that standpoint, it was a win for Mizzou last weekend. I was very pleased with the turnout. I think we had probably just over 2,000 young kids, their families, some of the educators from a lot of the schools all over the city of St. Louis and North County, primarily underserved kids. But there was a little bit of a mix of diversity on campus as well, too, from these groups. And it was just a tremendous experience, and I think everyone was happy. There were happy faces. Kids walked away with T-shirts that said Mizzou Youth Experience. And the feedback, even through yesterday, was tremendous. People were very pleased with the effort. Lots of comments about how many young people they saw enjoying themselves on the Mizzou campus. And there's a lot of hope that at some point in the next 3, 4, 5 years, probably longer than 3, 4, 5 years, but 5, 6, 7 years, that a lot of these kids will become students at Mizzou.
Well, you're also building a foundation, and you're showing kids who probably don't get a chance to dream about going to college that, yes, it is within their grasp if they work hard and do the right things. College is possible for anybody.
Absolutely, and that was the goal, to show them that college is attainable, and we are here to assist in that process.
Yeah. Howard Richards, what do we know about Purdue?
They're a team on the rise. They're a team that they have invested a lot in their facilities. They've got a brand new football complex, much like Mizzou is going to start building at the end of the season. But a team that's got a pretty explosive offense. Their defense has allowed a lot of yards. So it's incumbent upon the Missouri offense to try to exploit that and get back to their consistent way of playing that we believe that they can play, if they do play up to their potential.
Yeah.
And let's see if the defensive improvements last week will carry over into this week against what could be a formidable offensive opponent.
Yeah.
definitely key for special teams to get back on track. If the team's going to win this football game tomorrow, no game is an easy game on the schedule at this point until the Tigers start to play consistently in all three phases of the game.
Yeah, and Purdue, Big Ten, I don't care where they are in the Big Ten, they're a Big Ten team, so it'd be a good win no matter what happens. So
Absolutely. And good personnel, a good coach who really has command of his team, and it should be a battle.
Now, you mentioned facilities, and I've been going to Mizzou ever since, the 80s. And that iconic M in the end zone, right? I mean, that's the iconic signature of the stadium. Is that going away?
That is not going away.
Okay, good.
That will never go away. The construction will take place in the south end zone. The M is in the north end of the stadium. So that will remain in place forever and ever.
And then somebody told me that, was it those nefarious Nebraska fans one day changed the M to an N?
I have not heard that.
Somebody said
that's news to me. But, being Cornhusker fans and Cornhuskers, it would not surprise me.
Well, I heard they were trying to spell out Mizzou, and they didn't know how to spell it, so they just started with an N. See, as a Husker, I can say that because.
Yes, you can.
Well, you know what? The truth is this, Howard Richards. I miss the Big 8 and the Big 12. I love that rivalry. It was a great rivalry, and there aren't enough of those. I mean, we sort of lost that when all the teams went their own separate ways.
I will say, as a product of the Big 8, we had some epic football battles, and it was, at the time, the Big 8 was considered the best football conference in America.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. It is a little bit sad that we don't have the KU rivalries in the games regularly against OU and Nebraska, but things change, and this is the new era. I enjoy the fact that Mizzou's in the SEC because you get to see a lot of great players before they leave and become professionals.
That's true. That's true. There are pluses, but there are some minuses as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully it would be nice to again get the opportunity to play some of our former Big 8 rivals.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to consider, and if it does happen, it unfortunately won't happen overnight.
I never want them to go to the Big 12 because then years later, like when I turn 50, I'm going to sound old when I say, yeah, I played in the old Big 8. And the people that, what? The old Big 8? What? That's old. That's like some old time. I was into the Big 7. You're like, Big 7? Boy, you're really old, right? Big 8. Howard Richards, we're really old.
And guess what? You're still saying that right now.
Yeah, I know.
You're kind of feeling
I know. All right, 1 p.m. pregame, 3 p.m. kickoff. Heard right here on the Big 550 KTRS. Missouri taking on Purdue. The call by Howard Richards. Howard, have a good call. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kelly.
Take care.
8:51.